your mum and dad will remember me, but you guys are probably a little bit too young. But back in 1986, with my sister Mel, we were under the name of Mel and Kim. And it was a really exciting time for music because there was so much going on. There was a lot of fusions, there was snap around, as Rita knows. It was a great, great time. And at that time there was this sound called garage music that had come from Chicago. And the reason why they called it garage music, because it was music that was made in the garage. But it had this really hard beat behind it that no one had experienced in Europe, but it was really kicking butt in America. And at that time, my sister and myself, we were doing PAs and just going around trying to get a deal. And we hooked up with a label called Supreme Records, who had Princess, which you won't remember, but she had a huge hit with called Say I'm Your Number One. Do you remember that? So you do, don't you, darling?
Oh yes, I do.
Yeah. just. And the guy that was managing us at the time said that he knew of a label called Supreme Records that may be interested in us. It was an indie label, a real indie label. They'd only had one hit, but they had this hit with a very famous production company called Stott Aiken and Waterman. Anyone aware of Stott Aiken and Waterman?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. And basically, to cut a very, very long story short, we met up with Stott Aiken and Waterman. We did one track with them that was called Everyone's Got a System. And it was a kind of R&B track. They kind of tried to take us the same way as Princess. But after meeting us, taking us to the pub, hanging out with us, they realised that the track was too tame for Mel and Kim because we were from Hackney, East London girls. We'd been in the clubs a lot. So they decided about 4 weeks later, Pete called me up and said, we've got a new track for you. We're going to scrap that one. We're going to do Showing Out, Get Fresh at the Weekend. Now, you won't remember that, but it exploded everywhere. It was the first time that Europe was hearing garage, because before that was a guy who did Love Can't Turn Around. Rita, can you remember who that was?
Oh,
Love Can't Turn Around. No.
No. Sorry, I was wrong.
It's okay, we can maybe get someone to Google it. And it was a big thing that was happening in America, and of course Mel and Kim were responsible for this new sound that Stott Aiken and Waterman had produced for us. We had a hit with that. It exploded big time, even though it seemed like a quick progression. We'd actually done many PAs in old men's working clubs, and we'd really paid our dues. And 9 months later, we got Top of the Pops by fluke. I think there was someone like Boy George was supposed to do it, because Top of the Pops used to have a policy that you had to be in the top 40 before they'd let you on Top of the Pops. I think it's changed now, although Top of the Pops doesn't exist. And Boy George dropped out. And Mel and Kim, the producer of Top of the Pops, loved Mel and Kim, could see that this track was underground, it was starting to happen, and decided that he would like Mel and Kim to come on. And I think we were at number 48 at the time. We did Top of the Pops. It was the scariest moments of our lives because we had never experienced cameras, the whole shebang that goes with it. We did Top of the Pops, and from 48 the track just jumped to 24, and once it was in the top 30 it just jumped from 24 to 8 to 4 to 2, and we stayed at number 2 for weeks. And in those days you had to sell a lot of records to be at number 2. And I think the end result here was we sold 375,000 records just in England, and then the whole thing ricocheted around Europe, and then it went to America, and we ended up with a number 1 dance track in America, which was a really big deal at that time. It was massive, yeah. Thank you. Of course we didn't have a clue because we were very young and just enjoying the whole thing.
Excuse me, they just say Farley
Jack Master Funk, that was the guy. He had Love Don't Turn Around, and it was a new sound, and that's where Stott Aiken and Waterman kind of plagiarised, I guess. After that we had Everyone Was Waiting, thinking, okay, Mel and Kim, 2 cute chicks from East London, bit of an attitude, great tune, but what can they do next? Our next track was called Respectable, which was even bigger than Showing Out, Get Fresh at the Weekend. That exploded everywhere. I think it was number 1, 80% around the planet. again, another #1 in America, dance track, which was great. We then went on to do the album, which was called FLM, which was Fun, Love and Money, that really stood for something else, but I won't tell you because I'm on camera. I'll tell you after. So I did the FLM.
You can take it off the camera.
Have you taken the camera off?
No, I can turn it off if you like.
Yes, please, so I can just share
What
what
did it stand
FLM
for
really.
then?
Fucking lovely, man. Because Mel and I were always in the studio, we're like, fucking lovely, man. Anyway, we went back in the studio for our 3rd track, and we were recording the album at the same time. And we went up to the studio, and on the screen was FLM. And we're like, wow, what's FLM? And Mike Stock turned to us and he said, fucking lovely, mate. And we were like, we can't sing a song on fucking lovely, mate. And anyway, it was fun, love, and money. It was very, very clever. And anyway, we went on to sell a lot of records worldwide. I think it was 4 million worldwide. The whole thing exploded. But it ended very quickly as well, because during that time, my sister had been diagnosed with cancer and eventually lost her battle in 1990. From 86 to 90, there was this explosion of Mel and Kim, but it kind of went as quick as it came.